Okay, well, line work is finished. You'll see that I just kind of took a little bit of time to flesh out this areas right here and add some specks and dirt and hand-drawn elements to finish out where the body would be. But what we're going to do is we're going to make the background black. We're going to color, put a single color for the base color behind the line drawing so it stands out. Because right now, if you make the background black, you get nothing because the line work is black. And what we don't want to do is invert the line art so it looks like this. That's not necessarily what we want here. So I'll undo that. Okay. What I'm going to do is combine these two layers. These are both my line art layers. Now we got one layer here. This is my reference. I can go ahead and trash this. And I'm going to save a new document. And we're going to call this one color. Alright, so I've already selected a bunch of textures that I want to use. I mentioned in the beginning that I want this to kind of look like a vintage, dusty kind of album cover with a very dark, subtle horror look to it. Like a nostalgic horror. So what I'm going to do is first, let's fill up this, let's fill the background with a solid color so the line work stands out here. I'm just going to make the background gray for now, so that way when I paint white behind here, it shows up. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Made a new layer, and this is where I'm going to paint my white color. So you'll see, I'm just going to go through and make sure it doesn't go over the edge. Now, the point of doing this is so the line work stands out on its own, and I don't have to worry about it disappearing into the background. But also, I'm gonna kind of fade out the color towards the edge here. You'll see, towards the bottom of the album cover, and that's gonna kind of help me blend, like kind of fade in the piece of art as a whole, rather than just having it look like there's some illustrated line art on top of a dusty album cover. What actually might be faster, rather than filling it all in, would probably be just to go around the edges and make sure that the edges are good here. Erase really quick. If you go over the lines, that's okay. Just you'll have to erase it later, like that. This process takes a little bit of time, but you know, normally in this kind of circumstance, I've already got a line art that's kind of self-contained that doesn't have a break in the line work, so I can just use the magic wand tool and select, you know, all the areas all at once and then fill it. But since I've got like all of this area that's kind of open, that's what makes it kind of tricky. I have to do it this way. The magic wand tool won't work if I tried to select it. Keep hammering it away, hammering away and hammering away. Get your base color. actually. I can just fill all this because this is all going to be colored too. So I don't really think it matters if this is colored or not. To make this easy, I'm going to use this selector tool. There we go. That just saved us a bunch of time. And then I'll go and fix the details. Like up here. And anywhere else I feel like it's going over the edge. Here, I'll paint back there too, why not? Now I'm just being really rough with this because I'm gonna fade this part into the background. Okay. Now I can make my background black, and there we go. This is the start. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start getting some textures going on and making this thing look sweet. Okay, so I'm gonna open up some textures that I have. Got some cool new textures from DeviantArt. Let's see. This one's probably a good general noise texture. You see how it's like all soft and kind of fuzzy? That's what I'm looking for. So as you can see, it's not quite big enough, but that's alright. It's just a noise background. I'm going to desaturate that by pressing Control-Shift-U to make it black. And, well, black and white at least. It's very grayscale right now. So I'm going to select these two layers for my artwork, and I'm going to make this screen. Okay, so I made these layers screen. Essentially that's going to take my black of my outlines and make it whatever the background color is. It's going to just completely make it, the line work, invisible. So if I, like, you know, had a white background here, you'll see that it's got, or maybe I'll make it light gray. You'll see that the black outlines are see-through and the light gray background shows up. Anyway, so this is my base here. So let's just start by trying to blend in this artwork. Now what I'll start with, I'll just take a layer mask on the artwork layer here, or this is the fill color. This is my line art. Select my fill color layer and do a layer mask, reveal all. Take my gradient from black to white and just kind of go like this. This is already starting to blend in. Whoops. To blend in the Actually, why don't I use the magic wand tool, and I'm going to select the white areas that aren't part of the hair, essentially. Now I'm going to go back to my mask. I'm going to fade out the background like so. And I'll also give this just a slight bit of a fade too. Why not? I'm looking at that now, and I don't really like the way that that's looking. So I'm gonna undo that. One thing I forgot to do here before I just started fading that background is after I select this, I kind of want to expand the selection by maybe 5 pixels. And what's that going to do? That's going to put maybe make it less. It's going to expand my selection a little bit so the selection goes behind the line work just a tad like that. And you won't get those weird kind of lines surrounding my line art there, you see. Okay. Then I will settle. Just do very subtle. Very subtle masking of the hair part. Just like that. Okay. Well, I think that's blending in pretty good. Now, to make this interesting here, now you see this is just such a smooth gradient. I kind of want to make it a little bit dirtier. Trying to think of the best way to make this gradient not look so smooth. I could add a noise to it. Let me try doing that. And then blurring it. Then increasing the contrast. See, now that's looking a little bit better, but I think it's too much. I'm going to make my noise a little bit less and blur it a little bit less. See, this is kind of this is a technique I always like to do, the add noise blur effect. But it takes a little bit of guess and check to get right. Blur, Gaussian blur, maybe not so much. Okay. Okay. Let's zoom in and look at this a little bit closer. Now you'll see that my gradient mask here is a little bit dirtier. Let's undo just real quick to show you what it looked like before. So it was like that smooth. Now it's a little bit dirtier. Okay. And I kind of want this not to be stark white. So I'm gonna select my fill color layer and just do like I'm actually going to duplicate this, invert it, and then we'll rotate it 90 degrees. So I'm going to take this grayish, the gray noise color that I've got for my background, and I'm actually going to stick it here in my layer palette and then make it a clipping mask. So essentially my fill color layer here that I selected that's being masked out is a clipping mask for this inverted grain layer that I just made. So just to repeat that, I took this layer, the background layer, duplicated it, inverted it so it was a lighter color, and then sent that and rotated it so it wasn't the exact same arrangement of grain, because you don't want that. It looked weird. So I made this a clipping mask to mask out the grain area. So only that light green shows up where the color is supposed to be, the base color. So instead of this dark white, we've kind of got this grainy gray color. Alright, so that's looking good. Let's kind of move this figure into position. And I might even enlarge this. Do I want to enlarge it? I'm not so sure. Yeah, why not? Just a tiny bit. You know, enlarging anything always scares me, but in this particular case, we're going for like a vintage kind of look anyway, so just a subtle increasing of the line work isn't going to matter too much. Alright, so now we've got this far. I'm going to put some type on it. I had the type "Beauty is a black hole," and this is just my fake band name. And of course I'm going to use ITC Serif Gothic because that is, you know, right now the quintessential old school vintage 80s, 70s or 80s horror film font, if you will. I'm going to use the heavy style. And for the words "is a," I'm going to actually change those letters to a italicized serif. And I'm a big fan of Minister. And black italic. No, we'll go with bold italic. This is one of those things that I might tinker with for quite a while because type is something that, you know, you can't just get it on the first try. Like I'm going to need to experiment a little bit here. Yeah, maybe it's a little too bold. And spacing between that is a little too much. Let's bring up my text. I'm adjusting the kerning here. Just spacing between the letters, just to get more appropriate to what it should look. It should look balanced. And I think I also like plantain. I'm just gonna see how this looks. We're splitting hairs here, but yeah, I don't think it really matters which one I use here. Okay, let's just go with that. Make sure this is centered in my CD cover. So I'm going to select this and the background layer, click in the Align panel, Align Horizontal Centers. Alright. And, you know, I'm going to make the title of this album underneath here. So I'm not sure what I'm going to call this record. I'll take a line out of my friend Adam Wagner's lyrics or poetry book. He works here at Go Media, and he also plays in my band Parachute Journalists. But he wrote this one poem that I'm going to steal a line from. It's called "The Beast," and this line that he said, I think he started off the poem like, well, I don't know how he started it, but this line was called "I'd rather be eaten by them than this," and that sounded pretty powerful, and I think that fits this vibe here. I'd rather be eaten by them than this. So go back to Minister. Actually, I might try Mercury small caps. And then shrink down the font size. Bust out the kerning. Really small here. Let's even go smaller. 10. 250. Center. And we're going to center this up with that and the background. Okay. And just to make for an added more decorative ornament, I think this is going to look better with a line on top and bottom of this text here. So I'm going to pick like a pixel width, maybe like two pixels, and only doing this fill pixels. That's all I want. I don't need a vector line with my line tool here. Create a new layer, and there. Create my pixel line, duplicate it. Okay, now I'm going to make sure these are evenly spaced. Well, that doesn't work. I'm going to group these two together, my two lines that I made, and then vertically space these evenly so to make sure that this is in the center. Actually, that may be mathematically in the center, but I think this apostrophe is making it look like it's lower than it is. It's adjusting the automatic centering. So I'm just going to eyeball this and stick it right there. And make sure that my lines are also centered horizontally. Okay. Cool. There's my my typography. Pretty simple. I'd rather be eaten by them than this. I don't think I need a period at the end there, to be honest. Delete that. Alright, now I'm leaving some space on the edges. I don't really want this to go all the way to the end. I'm going to kind of keep this a little bit of space there. And you know what? I think this might be interesting too. They say this is a volume 001. VOL.001. We're going to increase that size a little bit. And center that. Okay. Now, what does volume 001 stand for? That's not for me to know. That is for the band. It's something that this mysterious, unknown band that I'm doing this work for. This is part of their record. So, actually, I just thought it looked kind of cool, being underneath there like that. And I'm going to go back to Minister and book italic that. Bold italic. Perfect. Okay. Actually, space is a bit too far. Let's shrink it. Oh, I think I'm done with my typography now. Now let's save this. Now we're going to add more textures, more grain, more dust. A little bit of color, maybe. It's going to be pretty monochrome, but the color I'm going to add is going to be kind of a global color, not necessarily like I'm going to realistically shade this creature here. So let me just name my groups here: lines and art. All right. Alright, now let's go ahead and open up some more textures here. Let's see what we got. We got this abstract film by D. Knuckles Stock, or this one, this one is kind of what I'm going to use to color my whole piece. Not quite sure yet. Here, let's go with the old Polaroid here. This is by, actually I don't know who this is by, but I love this. It's not exactly centered, but I don't care. I'm just going to grab this like this, copy it. So someone scanned in this really disgusting old Polaroid, you know, like if I had one of these I could have scanned it in myself, but in general I like the way this sort of frames everything with this tape, and we'll see how it looks on everything. So, oh, that looks cool, but I don't want it to be like it looks like a Polaroid picture. I'm actually going to enlarge it so I really only get the tape. Now I am getting a little bit of that frame in there, which I dig. So I'm actually going to squish it. Now some people would say don't do this, but in order to get the borders to look even, I had to stretch it vertically a little bit. That's okay. Now you're going to say, what happened to the grain layer? Well, it's still going to be there. Right now this is covering it up. But I could just set this mode to screen, and I just basically knocked out all the black in my Polaroid screen layer. And I'm actually going to increase the contrast of my fuzzy background. Okay. So now I've got this layer screening out on this black layer here. Now I might adjust the contrast of this one too. There we go. So desaturate that as well. Get rid of the color. Okay, because we're going to color this thing later. So now you'll see that I've got that. I've made this frame around it, and it's looking pretty dirty and scary, I think. Okay. Let's see. What's next? Let's add some more dirt, of course. But you know, I don't want to go overboard with the dirt. I'm going to kind of throw stuff in here and see where it goes, and then scale it back a little bit, probably in the end. But like, looks like we've already got a ton of dust going on here. So what I might do is I might take this dusty one, paste it in. You know, and I could screen it out and get more white dust going on. But I think we've already got enough, you know. So I might actually invert it, set it to multiply, and now we've got some black dust that's going to go over top of everything. This is more like dirt. It's going to give everything a little bit more consistency. Okay, you see how I've got it added some dirt scratches on there. Okay.
Sorry.
So it's more like dust specks of dirt instead of a white photocopy. Okay. Dirt. Dirty. Alright, now I feel like we're reaching a good point. I'm going to throw this guy in here. And I like this red part, so let's kind of see what we can do with this red. Let me close some